All right, this is week 2. Last week we did some just getting started elk hunting stuff, different states and different seasons. Basically, kind of gave the 10,000 foot view of what we're looking to do. So as we go, we're going to get more kind of focused. I figure we go through OTC versus general tags, limited entry, and so on. We'll get into scouting and stuff in later episodes. But like I said, today I figure we start with the different tags you can get. So we've talked about states, we've talked about seasons. Now we're looking at serious planning around tags.
Yeah, so basically there's different categories for the different types of tags that you can draw, and those happen at different points of the year, and some cost a lot more than others. Some of them cost points, some of them don't. So starting just kind of at the most simple of simple is over the counter, and that's exactly what it sounds like. I can roll into Shields in Colorado, buy a tag, and go hunting that next day. It is purely over the counter. That opportunity is going away after this year for the archery seasons for non-residents in Colorado, but
thanks a lot, Biden.
Yeah, right. You still have firearm opportunity that's over the counter there going forward. This year, if you're on the fence about elk hunting, you can still go and do that in those OTC states. So that was my first elk hunt. I remember I bought my very first elk tag in a gas station in Telluride, Colorado. So that one's always kind of fresh in my mind. The second would be a general tag. So that'd be your Montana general. Wyoming divided up their general tags a little bit now, where there's an east, a south, and a west. But you get these cluster of units, or this cluster of an area that you can hunt. And a lot of those have a little bit longer or a significantly longer season to them. So my first and most of my elk hunting has been in Montana on a general elk tag, meaning I get the majority of the western half of Montana for all of archery and all of firearm season. Same with Wyoming. There's some kind of nuanced rules with that, where there's some units that you can even elk hunt with a rifle in September, and there is in Montana too in the more wilderness areas. But the vast majority of my elk hunting has been on a general tag.
Okay.
Then you have limited entry, and this is the stuff that you build points to. So every year I buy points in Utah, in Montana, in Colorado, and all over the place. And those points that you build throughout the year or years, you can apply to a limited entry tag. And what that means is there's only a certain amount of people that are able to hunt in this specific unit. And ideally, it's supposed to be a better quality hunt. Bigger bulls, less pressure, things like that. So
it's like that pristine, untouched land. They control it.
Kind of.
That's the idea that people have going in.
That's the idea of it, but I don't want people to fixate on that too much, because I've hunted areas that were limited entry, and I've hunted OTC areas that were actually better than some of the limited stuff that I've hunted too. So it's purely situational, and you have to do your research to kind of figure out what's what. Just because the tag is 4 points to get this year doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good unit. It might be they had killer winter die off the year before, right. So they're limiting how many people can go.
Wolves are smoking a bunch of them.
So,
whatever.
I mean, for the most part, yeah, the more points it takes, the better the hunt, but that's not always the case.
Yep.
So then past that, you have your landowner tags, or ranging for wildlife tags, things that are acquired through a private landowner that they're allocated some tags that they can sell to you. That obviously comes at a price and is a little bit harder to kind of define, because there's so many little one-offs about those as well.
So that's you basically, they give permission to the state, and then they're on a list, you find them, you go.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So it's different for different states. So New Mexico, I can go on ABC Outfitters, I'm making something up, and they can say, I have a September 1 to September 15 archery hunt. Guaranteed, I have the tag. I will sell you the hunt with the tag. That's right. A landowner tag. Or Colorado has ranging for wildlife, similar situation, things like that. Then past all this, let's say you put in for all the limited entry tags, you put in for general, couldn't afford a landowner tag that year. You're not quite OTC time yet. There's still some opportunities to do something else. Those are your seconds list from Colorado, or your alternate list from Montana.
Yep.
And what those are is guy like myself that maybe put in for Montana and drew it, but then a week later I drew Arizona, a tag that I've been trying to give forever. So I turn my Montana tag back in, it goes back into the pool. They do this secondary drawing in July. I can get a tag with no points out of my point pool towards that tag. Same with Colorado. I put in for that yesterday, where you put in for, basically you have a list of tags that got turned back in over the last month, and it's completely random, no points. So there's tags on there that would normally take 8 or 10 years, but because someone turned it back in, I can get it for 0 points completely randomly. So lots of cool opportunities with that.
Quick shout out to another amazing sponsor of ours, Kifaru International. If you're like us and love hunting in some of the toughest places, you know how crucial having the right gear is. Kifaru makes some of the toughest, most reliable backpacks and tents out there, and it's all made right here in America. Whether you're hunting in the backcountry or headed to your favorite deer stand, Kifaru has you covered. Keep your eyes out this year, especially as they're launching a ton of amazing new products like the new Arc frame that just came out. So next time you gear up for an adventure, make sure to check out Kifaru International. So a lot of questions come up. What's difficult about going west is that every state has different dates, different requirements, different types of draws, whether it be ranching for wildlife versus a landowner tag. How are you I guess the first question is, where are you getting this information? How are you getting all this information?
There's a couple of different ways to do it. I've kind of built a spreadsheet over the years of this is when the draw dates are due, this is when the application dates are due, this is when it's coming back out. And most of that takes place in that first quarter of the year. So a lot of it's due by February, March, and April for most of the states. And then you kind of find out what you're drawing between April and June. And then now we're in kind of that secondary phase where all the secondary and leftover tags are starting to slowly come out.
Yep.
So
there's going to be changes every year, right? So are you reading digests constantly? Are you following the news? Where are you getting the updates?
Yeah, I keep kind of a close eye on it because I'm kind of obsessive about it. There's other avenues and different apps and pages that you can follow that kind of bring you back up to snuff with.
What do you use?
Honestly, a mix of a lot of things. So I'll just kind of watch different forums and pages.
Like Rockslide or?
Not so much Rockslide, but Go Hunt has a good one. WTA, their tag system is pretty solid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ones that you can kind of look at and employ throughout the given year.
Yeah.
If you really want to be hands-free of it and kind of let someone do it for you, which a lot of people do, that WTA tags one works really well. It's one that I'm going to start using a little bit more now that life gets busier and I can't keep up with all this stuff. I almost missed Colorado's deadline yesterday just because I was busy.
OnX is the title sponsor of our podcast here at the Fair Chase, and it's a must-have app for all of us who love to explore the outdoors. Whether you're hunting or hiking or fly fishing, OnX gives you detailed, accurate maps right at your fingertips. With property boundaries, topographical features, and trail data, you'll always know where you are and where you're headed. You'll also likely be able to figure out where that big buck is headed to. Plus, their offline maps mean you're covered even in the most remote locations. OnX is the ultimate tool for outdoor navigation, making every adventure safer and more enjoyable. Download OnX today and explore with confidence. So if you're not using WTA and you're tracking your points, you're using a spreadsheet to track all your points?
Like an Excel sheet.
Really?
Yeah.
You're an Excel man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That Microsoft.
That feels weird. I don't know that I can look at you the same anymore. Kind of takes away the Joe mystique. All right. And so what's your, when you're looking at how much you're putting in some points here, what if a guy's looking to start putting down a pretty solid elk strategy where he's putting in points for good units, he's going hunting on the off years and OTC, how much should he be putting aside to even just start with the application? How much should he be spending on that? Because that can't be cheap.
So yeah, if you did everything, it's going to be a few $1,000s. If you got into everything and played the sheep and the random lottery games, then you're fronting tens of thousands if you did all of it.
Yeah.
And most of this you're getting back because you're not drawing it all, right?
Right. You pay for the whole thing up front. When you don't get drawn, you get money back.
In some states. So Colorado, you just have to have a hunting license, which is $110, and then it's $10 per application after that. States like Wyoming and Montana, you front the whole bill, and then you get it back if you don't draw, or they keep it if you do. So
why do they do that? Why do they take all
they make
money?
interest on your money.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Just like everybody else.
Things in government, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're tracking it that way. You're playing the odds in different states. Is there any, as we get questions about this a lot. You get questions about people asking, and when you have somebody write in or come find you at a shop or whatever, what often are they not doing well or not doing right? What are they missing usually?
Assuming that low point units aren't worth hunting, or assuming that I didn't draw anything this year, I'm too good to go to OTC, or I'm not going to do a general, I'm waiting for a limited entry. Because that's the biggest thing that I've seen over the years. Like, I've met guys that have never elk hunted a day in their life and they have 7 points in the state, and it's not because they don't want to go, it's because they have this perception that they only want to go if it's good.
Yeah.
But they're going to step into the Super Bowl without playing a down of football in their life.
So you're saying get in there, get dirty, just learn.
You should hunt every single year.
Yeah.
Every single year. There's no reason not to. If Colorado does away with all OTC, you should still find a way to hunt every single year.
And you think you can with leftover tags, with the lottery, with all these different...
If nothing else, go shoot a cow that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, something.
Well, and you and I were talking about, I had no points. I forgot we were talking about going. You're like, just grab a cow tag. I'll grab a bull tag. We'll just go hunt, and you'll learn the area.
Exactly. Right. It's boots on the ground.
You get your ivories either way.
Yep. And 150, 180 pounds of meat.
Yeah, so delicious meat.
100%.
This episode is also brought to you by 2O Gear, innovators in technical hunting clothing. 2O is a newer company. It's based right here in Michigan, and whether you're hunting elk in the mountains or chasing antelope in the plains or traipsing through swamps after that ruddy buck, 2O has you covered with premium jackets and pants, merino wool layers, everything you could possibly need to stay comfortable in the woods. Their products are engineered for functionality and durability, ensuring you stay protected in any conditions. Plus, their camo is really effective. We're big fans. So don't take our word for it, though. Go to 2ogear.com and check it out. What is, as you're looking at different states and you're thinking about your strategy and everything else, like, what are you prioritizing? Like, what's most important to you as you're making these decisions?
Opportunity. Yeah. And for me, it's like length of season.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Colorado for that because
it's a 1 week or whatever, 5 days.
It's like 5 days for rifle or your month of archery, 3-4 weeks of archery, whatever that is.
And Montana's
a much longer season. And then the other thing that I like about that too is it doesn't pigeonhole me into one unit. I can go, or one like touching units kind of thing. I have the whole western half.
Yeah.
Or Wyoming, I have the whole west general unit, the whole south general unit. It gives me more opportunity that if I walk into an area and I'm like, this is crazy pressured, or I'm not seeing the elk, or something happened here, a burn happened in my unit,
yep,
I can move. So
I'm looking around. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elk head on the wall right here. And you've got more. If you had to estimate a percentage of the elk, bull, and cow that you've killed on OTC versus anything else, what does that break down to? What's the ratio?
All of them but 2 have been on general. 1 has been on a limited entry, and 1 has been OTC.
Only one on OTC. In general, that's any...
General, so all of them but 2 have been Montana. My limited entry 1 was in Wyoming, and 1 OTC in Colorado.
Interesting.
So
really any of them. You've killed one almost any tag.
But that tells you where I focus my energy, and it's general because of the opportunity.
And because you can then go in and pick very specific spots that you don't really care.
It widens my canvas of huntable area, and widens my season baits.
Because and it seems like, and I think about this a lot when I do any type of hunt. It's like, how do you go from big to little and like expand as much land as you can look at, and you're whittling it down, but you want as much area to kind of choose from the beginning as possible, right?
Yep. So you have like the macro view of an area that looks good, and then plan A through F of when it doesn't pan out.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think let's stop here. I would like to come back and let's talk about, you're picking states. You pick states, you pick different types of tags, and now it's like, what does scouting look like? Because scouting is a huge part of even picking some of these areas too.
Yep.